All right, guys, this is part 3 in our 6-part mini-series on Is This My Problem? And today I want to talk about an aspect of struggles and problems that I think is oftentimes overlooked, and that's this. Many struggles and many problems are actually in our life on purpose, and they're for our good. And that goes for the people we love as well, people that we care about. And so when we step in and we attempt to rescue them from those things too quickly, we're actually hindering God's work in their life. You know, the truth is, most of us have been taught that love means fixing things, right? Quickly, as fast as possible. We see a problem, we step in. We see someone struggling, we go rescue them. But what if helping too fast is actually hurting them, is actually adding to the problem in the long term? You see, God often works through processes that you and I don't like, waiting, struggling, discomfort. And when we step in and rescue people from these things too quickly, we are short-circuiting that process in their life. When we're removing pressure too soon, we take from them opportunities for growth, ownership, and learning to depend on God for themselves. So we're not just fixing a problem, we're actually interrupting a lesson in their life. Now, why do we rush in to rescue? I want you to look at yourself for a second. The truth is, I think that for most of us, the silence makes us very uncomfortable. When someone that we love is going through a struggle, someone that we care about is in discomfort, it's very discomforting for us to sit there, right? It's very uncomfortable, to sit there and do nothing. We feel like we have to say something or do something. Watching makes us anxious, right? We want peace now, not for them, but for us. And so sometimes we're not really saving them. I know in your head, and in my head, that's what we're saying, but really, we're trying to save ourselves. God is not afraid of the tension, okay? He's not. He will use that tension and he will work through it to produce positive change in the lives of his children. There's a difference between helping and enabling. See, helping strengthens someone to move forward. Enabling removes the consequences that were put there and meant to produce growth in that person's life. When we always step in, dependency on us will grow. When we rescue too quickly, we can delay God's timing in their life. And we are actually training people to rely on us instead of him. Before stepping in, ask this: has God actually asked me to fix this? You see, wisdom isn't just knowing how to help, it's knowing when not to. All right, guys, so this is part 4 in our 6-part mini-series on Is This My Problem? And in this session, we're going to talk about the difference between obedience and urgency. And I think this is one of the biggest struggles that we have in our Christian life. Just because something feels urgent doesn't mean that God is asking us to move in and rescue, to help right now. Pressure can often be very loud in our life, whereas God is often very quiet. And if we're not careful, confusing the two will actually lead to exhaustion in your life and in mine. Urgency often feels very holy, I think, to us because it looks a lot like responsibility. This has to be handled right now. If I don't step in, everything could fall apart. But urgency is actually always driven by fear in our life. Fear of consequences, fear of disappointment, or the worst thing I think is fear of appearing as if we don't care. And that's a big one. Obedience, though, doesn't flow from urgency. It flows from trusting God in his timing and in his processes. You know, one of the most overlooked aspects of Jesus's life, I think, was his pace. You see, he walked when other people wanted him to run. He rested when there were still very many needs present. People lined up, in fact. He delayed when other people demanded immediacy in his life. Jesus was never rushed, not because the needs weren't there, not because they weren't real, but because he refused to let urgency replace obedience in his life. When we move too fast, we react instead of taking time to be discerning. We're responding emotionally to a struggle or a problem that we encounter instead of prayerfully. Hurry will create activity in your life, make no mistake, but only obedience to God's timing and his processes will produce lasting fruit. You see, you can be very busy for God and still out of step with Him. So here's today's question, okay? If this situation, this problem that someone else is having that now has been brought to my attention, if it didn't feel so urgent, would I still feel called to step in and help? You see, that question helps us to kind of discern, is this pressure or is this God? Before responding or fixing or committing, pause and say, God, if this is from you, then I trust that you'll confirm it without rushing me in to fix it. See, obedience will never require panic from you and me.